Hello everyone, I am FPL Rondo and welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to be discussing today is my team and my thoughts going into game week 2 and potential transfers going into this week that might be on the cards. I know there's some injuries that have occurred this week that actually haven't affected my team too much, which is great news. But yeah, we're going to go into transfer discussion and potentially look into rolling, which is usually my favourite option going into this week, as it does open a bit of flexibility for me going into the future game weeks to be a bit more aggressive. So we're going to discuss all of that in this video. Stay tuned. Now, this video is being recorded on Thursday and will be most likely posted on Friday, so some news here might be outdated by the time it is posted. But as of now, Reece James of Chelsea has picked up a hamstring injury and will be out for a few weeks minimum, but the damage is currently unknown as a scan is ongoing. Current replacements that are being talked about on FPL is Gusto, that £4 million defender for Chelsea. He very well could come into that position, but I am also hearing that Dizazi could also play into that position for Reece James. So it is a bit of an unknown and it is a bit of a risk. But if you are wanting to pick up a differential defender for Chelsea that could very well be playing the next few weeks, Gusto might be the one for you. I just couldn't guarantee his minutes, especially with people saying that Dizazi could come into that position as well. It's a bit of a risk for me, and personally I can't even fit them into my team anyway, as I already have 3 Chelsea players. So it's sort of, it could be a great decision, but it's probably down to maybe leaving it through this week and then seeing if Gusto does pick up a full 90 minutes and then deciding from there. But yeah, Reece James will be out for a few weeks minimum, and hopefully he does recover quick, just because he is a fantastic player and Chelsea will miss out with that captaincy and that leadership gone from that defence. Now, we've also had news today that John Stones is out with a fresh hamstring injury sustained in training this morning, just before they flew back to Manchester today. Now, this isn't ideal for FPL, just like Reece James, because both of them do have really high ownership and are key assets in defence for a lot of people's FPL teams. Now, for people who do have both, this is even worse, because we've barely gotten out of game week 1, and this very well could cause a -4 or a wild card to be played this early on. It's insane. But yeah, John Stones is also out. I'm not too sure of the extent of this injury either. This is probably going to be an ongoing thing where we will find out in the near future as to the full length of the injury. But yeah, both of these players, Reece James and John Stones, will be sells in most people's FPL teams, unless you do have an alternative replacement on your substitutes bench. But yeah, this is going to be a big miss for FPL, and hopefully you can sort of arrange your teams around this and recover from this quickly. Now, this is my team going into game week 2. The main changes being in goal, with Onana being substituted for Matt Turner of Nottingham Forest in that Sheffield United at home fixture. I just think they have a much higher chance of a clean sheet, especially after Manchester United's last game against Wolves. I do think that Manchester United did look a bit exposed in that defence, and they very well could have conceded 2 or 3 goals if it wasn't for Onana's 6 saves. And obviously there is that penalty debate, which I do think was a penalty, but that's for another day. But yeah, I've got Matt Turner in goal, as I just do think that is the better goalkeeper option out of the 2, and I would be a bit stupid not to play him in this fixture, as I do think he is a good goalkeeper, and that defence, especially at home, Nottingham Forest's home form is pretty good. So I'm just going to take my bets there and just hope that Sheffield United do keep a clean sheet there. In defence, nothing's changed. I've gone for Ben Chilwell, Gabriel and Estepinian. Obviously, the question marks here are all around Gabriel and if he will start in their next Arsenal fixture against Crystal Palace away. I think he will be starting, especially with Timber's injury. I do think that means that Gabriel's chances do increase, and I think that Arteta will probably revert back to last season's tactics just for a while, whilst they sort of get to grips with new tactics. I think that brings Gabriel back into that team, and I don't think he will miss out too many minutes from here on, whilst Timber does recover from that ACL injury. The midfield is an interesting one. Again, nothing's changed here. I'm playing the exact same formation of 3-4-3, but I've gone for Mohamed Salah captain. That Bournemouth fixture just can't be ignored. I remember last season when they won 9-0 at home. I did have him captain them as well, but if anyone does remember that fixture last season, he didn't get a single attacking return, which was quite devastating, and hopefully that curse doesn't continue on into this season. But yeah, hopefully Mo Salah does pick up a few goals here, as I do think that fixture is just fantastic, and I would be stupid not to captain him against Bournemouth at home at Anfield. That's just going to be hopefully a goal fest again, and hopefully another 9-0. I wouldn't complain there, but I've gone for Bukayo Saka, Rashford and Eze. Eze is a question mark as well, and we will get onto that later as a potential transfer going into either this week or the coming weeks, depending on how he performs potentially. But yeah, Saka and Rashford, really happy with them. Obviously, Rashford didn't get an attacking return last game, and he did look a bit out of place in that Manchester United team last game. But I think they're just getting to grounds with their new system potentially. I'm not too sure, but yeah, Rashford, it's Rashford, you can't ignore it, and hopefully he does pick up a form in the next few games. Moving on to the strikers, and again, we've got Nicholas Jackson, Haaland and João Pedro. This time Haaland does carry the vice captaincy, just because again I do think Salah has the favourable fixture. I know a lot of people will still go for Haaland over Salah, potentially as they don't have Salah in their teams, and some will also still captain him even owning Salah just to protect their rank. But Haaland I do think will be the most captain player this week, even in that Newcastle at home fixture, which of course is not ideal when you're playing against Champions League opposition. João Pedro and Nicholas Jackson I'm so happy with. Obviously João Pedro did get a goal from a penalty in that first game, which does sort of confirm that he is the penalty taker for Brighton, which has only solidified him in my team even more, being that 5.5 million option. What a fantastic option he is, and I'm so happy he is in my team. Hopefully he can keep that form up in the coming weeks. Nicholas Jackson obviously didn't get an attacking return, but he was one of the most exciting players to watch last week, even against Liverpool. He was getting so many shots, his pace was electric, and he was getting into such good positions that he is hard to ignore and will be an absolute magnet for goals this season. He is an absolute lock in my team as well, and against West Ham away, that is such a favoured fixture compared to Liverpool. He should be picking up a few goals in the coming weeks, and hopefully some of them do come in game week 2. So he is locked into my team as well, and that won't change for the near future. So moving on to the substitutes bench now, and this is where some problems do start to pop up. So as you can see, Kabore and Bayer do not have a fixture this week, and I should have thought about that more in advance, but I did think I had 3 nailed defenders in Gabriel, Chilwell and Estepinian. Obviously game week 1 proved that that isn't the case, and Gabriel isn't as minutes proof as we once thought. This isn't ideal. I'm stuck in a position where I sort of roll the transfer and hope Gabriel does play or stars in that Crystal Palace fixture. Or if I do get early team news that Gabriel is benched, I might be forced into transferring one of my substitute defenders to another 4 million defender like Baldock of Sheffield United. He is one that I am considering in this current moment. If I didn't have Chukwuemeka on the bench for Chelsea as a midfield option, I probably would have gone for Gusto and hoped that he starts in that Chelsea fixture in replacement of Reece James, as discussed earlier on. But we can't, because we've got 3 Chelsea players, so that's not an option for me, and that would involve taking a -4, which I'm not wanting to do. So yeah, Gusto is out of the question for me, and it is a case of either roll the transfer, or if I get early team news, do transfer one of my substitute options who isn't playing in Kabore or Bayer into probably Baldock of Sheffield United, and this probably will be done tomorrow, based off of, again, team news for Arsenal, if we do get some team news before that deadline. So if you do want updates on my transfer, I would recommend that you go over to my Twitter and follow me there, because you will get an update on my transfer news, as I won't be able to post a video between this video and the deadline, as I don't have time to do so. So yeah, Twitter will be the place to find out my transfer news if I do any, and I will also let you know if I am rolling. But yeah, that's sort of the issue I am having with my team currently, as I didn't plan ahead and think about those 2 players not having fixtures. So again, the main debate this week will be that captaincy decision between Salah and Haaland, if you do have the luxury of deciding between the two of them. I personally have gone for Salah just because of that fixture, and I do think there's a lot of goals to be had in that Liverpool team, and I think Mohamed Salah will be on the back end of a few of them, getting a few goals himself. Fingers crossed anyway that curse doesn't come back to haunt him this year, this time round against Bournemouth at home. Haaland will most likely become the most captain player this week still, even though he does have that tough fixture of Newcastle at home at the Etihad. I do think he will still be the most captained. Saka could be a great differential captain if you are looking to gain a bit of rank, although I do think he is the worst option out of the three. But yeah, if you're wanting a bit of differential spice in there so early on in game week 2, he could be the option there. Eze, in regards to transfers, is the one that I was thinking about, but the more I do think about it logically, isn't making sense for me this week, as all my issues do seem to come from that defence, as I do have 2 players not starting in that defence, and Gabriel is a minutes risk and might not even start in that Arsenal fixture. So I do believe if I do use a transfer this week, it will be for that defensive option and to make sure I do have 11 playing players, just because I have messed up there and I should have thought about that more in advance. But it is what it is, and if you do want that transfer news, be sure to follow me on Twitter, because I will be updating you all on there as to what I do, and if I do decide to roll, that will all be explained over on my Twitter. Again, that will be linked below. But yeah, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. Who are you captaining? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, apart from that, good luck in game week 2. I hope you get all the points that you're wanting. Hope the captaincy all pays off, and see you in the next video.